What's good, Joe? Welcome to my review for NXT Takeover Vengeance Day on this glorious Valentine's Day. I, of course, had nothing to do because I am single, and, so your boy did nothing on this Valentine's Day. Nearly didn't do much outside of watch Attack on Titan, review Attack on Titan, and watch Takeover. So, no, I don't know about y'all, how y'all spent your Valentine's Day, whether or not you went out on a date, got some, whatever the case may be, played some video games, whatever the case may be. Maybe fantasized about your waifus, who cares, whatever. I'm sure we all, but if you are a wrestling fan, I'm sure you did enjoy this Valentine's Day, because tonight was Takeover Sunday, and man, Takeover Vengeance Day was fucking fantastic. This was definitely, without a doubt, the best takeover we have gotten so far in the pandemic era with these pandemic shows. This is the best takeover. The match card felt like a truly takeover show. The only thing that would have made this better is obviously the crowd. If there was an actual live audience there, and they were going to, especially with the Johnny Gargano match. Oh boy, that would have been crazy. But man, Johnny's match without it was definitely the best match of the show, without a doubt. That was match of the night, if you ask me. You may say I'm biased because it's Johnny Gargano, but hey, it's Johnny Gargano. Can you really blame me? But anyway, guys, enough me rambling, enough jibba jabba. Let's just jump right in to Takeover Vengeance Day. So to start the show, we had Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez going against Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. First off, did Shotzi actually get new music? Because her music sounded a little different when I watched the match. But maybe maybe I didn't notice, or maybe she got new music. Or it's always sounds like that. But anyway, this match was fantastic and a worthy way to start the show off. Of course, you had Raquel and Dakota make their entrance first, but then you had Shotzi and Ember make their entrance. They actually had I really dug Ember's makeup. They had similar makeup with these red things around their eyes. It looked really fucking cool. They came out, of course, in the tank, and Ember was wearing a gas mask on her hood or whatever. It looked pretty fucking sick. And she also had green highlights at the end of the hair to obviously match with Shotzi having full green hair. So I thought that was nice. But anyway, we start the match off. You got Ember. I believe it was Ember, and you got, of course, Raquel Gonzalez. I've been really a fan, big fan, really been a big fan of Raquel Gonzalez in recent months. She's really good in the ring, and she's just been become a fan favorite of mine in the women's division. And you can definitely tell that NXT is very high on her because, of course, from a lot of her recent booking recently, you had the match with Rhea Ripley down to NXT, which was fantastic. That last woman standing match on NXT. What was it, a couple weeks ago, or it might have been at the previous Takeover? I also don't remember. Or no, that was a New Year's Eve, I believe. That was a fantastic match, fantastic. But anyway, so you had Raquel and Ember starting off. You had them, of course, going at it for a while. Of course, Ember is just dominating it. But eventually, as the match goes on, we actually get Dakota in there, and Ember locks Dakota Kai into a sort of heel hook thing. And while she's doing it, of course, Dakota eventually starts to try and crawl over to her corner to tag in Raquel. But every time for three times, Ember just pulled her back in. She just kept pulling and pulling and pulling. And then eventually, after the third time or whatever, Raquel actually distracted the ref while Ember was beating down on Dakota with kicks and everything, and she tagged in Shotzi, but the ref didn't see. He was busy with because Raquel was distracting the ref, so she goes in there. Of course, the ref starts arguing, and then eventually they bring her back. They tag in, the ref sees it, and then Ember is legit just arguing with the official, low-key dumb babyface syndrome, and she's just arguing him she's doing clapping her hands together, showing hey, I tagged her, this, that, and third. He's arguing with the ref. While this is going on, Dakota is sneakily crawling over to her corner to get Raquel, and I actually thought she was going to get the tag and, sneak attack her, but no, at the last second, Ember noticed and pulled her back, so that was pretty cool. I like that section. But then, we also had Shotzi actually go for a Hurricane Rana on Raquel, but Raquel caught her and just pretty much threw her into the plexiglass. Great spot. You had another great spot with the suicide dive where Ember was on the second rope and she pulled up the bottom rope. Her legs were spread open. Keep your mind out of the gutter. So her legs were spread open, and then Shotzi just kind of like does a suicide dive through her legs onto Dakota, I believe. Great spot. You also had Ember do a beautiful eclipse, and she looks like she had a little extra to that one on like the turn, and it looked fucking fantastic. No, there is no one of my all-time favorite finishers in wrestling is without an Ember Moon's eclipse. It is such a beautiful finisher, man. I love it every time I see it, and Ember does it so good, man. I love watching the eclipse in action every time I see it. But anyway. So you had that, and then there was also you had Raquel like when Ember was, I think she like jumped over the top rope. Ember like catches her or like caught her, and then literally just like grabs her, pulls her up, and just throws her over the top rope onto the ramp, which actually did like a different ramp this time. It wasn't a typical ramp; it was like a straight, big like black ramp that looked really cool. That kind of like changed the feel of the takeover, and I really dug it because without it, you probably wouldn't have noticed it. Then afterwards, Raquel goes out there and just pushes Ember off the barricade, and she's just forgotten about for the rest of the match. Anyway, of course, Shotzi tries to keep going at it, but of course Raquel gets her with the choke slam, and of course wins the match with Dakota actually piling on top of Raquel for them to get a 3 count. Great, a fantastic match to start the show. I don't know why some people were saying this match was sloppy or this match wasn't that good. I don't know what the hell y'all were watching, but what I watched was like 20 minutes of 4 women that I love just killing each other and really just putting together a fantastic match. Absolutely, as mentioned, this was a great way to start off TakeOver. So then, we got the match of the night, which was Johnny Gargano and Kushida. Holy fuck! This was a fantastic match. Like, you guys know me. You guys know how much I love Johnny Gargano. He's tied with Daniel Bryan. John Cena is my favorite all-time wrestler my all-time favorite wrestler. You guys know how much I love Johnny. You know how much I love his matches at TakeOver. But you guys may have noticed that with my reviews of the TakeOvers previously, Johnny's matches haven't been as good as they once were when he was like with Adam Cole or Tommaso Ciampa or, Aleister Black, Ricochet. You guys know how much I was just drooling over those matches. But the recent few matches, outside of the last one he did with Damian Priest as well as Leon Ruff, I wasn't that big on it. I thought, oh yeah, they're great matches, but not to that upper echelon of like, this is a masterpiece of a match. This one was that match. Kushida and Johnny Gargano absolutely tore the house down and absolutely killed. They just stole the show, man. Like, this was match of the night. But anyway, enough of me rambling. Let's go straight into the match itself. So, before we jump right into the actual match itself, let's quickly, of course, like always, go over my man Johnny here. So my man Johnny, actually, when I first saw the match, when I first saw TakeOver, I originally thought he was dressed up in more Wolverine-inspired garb, which, to be fair, he's already done that before, but I thought maybe doing a little bit differently for the heel gimmick, because it was dark blue and yellow. So I thought, oh, it's Wolverine. He's like, repping Wolverine. But just to make sure, before I actually started recording, I went to go and check. And it actually wasn't Wolverine. It's actually a mutant that probably none of you have heard about. Nate Gray, which is, of course, one of Jean Grey's children, I think from an alternate dimension. I literally just looked it up, and there it was. So that really shows just how much of a nerd Johnny Gargano is among. This man, I'm pretty sure this is the first time he's ever cosplayed as a character that hasn't been in a movie or isn't like a really popular name. Because I'm sure none of you know who Nate Gray is. Hell, I didn't even know Nate Gray is. But then again, I'm not as big as the X-Men as I am, say, Spider-Man. But that was still pretty cool, and it kind of shows just how much of a nerd Johnny Gargano really is. But anyway, so Kushida was making his entrance. Before we jump right on, one other Beth Phoenix just absolutely just buried Wade Barrett on commentary. So Wade was going over the way and how you are part of the way or whatever their catchphrase is, and he says it sounds like if you're not Nexus, you're against us. You know the whole Nexus thing. And then Beth says, well, let's hope the way is more successful. I laughed out loud when I saw that, but I'm like, damn, Beth didn't need to bury him like that. So Kushida makes his entrance, and of course, Johnny makes his entrance. Of course, she has all of the way with him as he's walking out. But then, if you actually paid attention to the background, you can see that actually Dexter Lumis comes in there and chloroforms Austin Theory and takes him into the shadows. They obviously didn't notice it first, but it wasn't until they actually got to the ramp that they noticed he wasn't there. So he sent Indy Hartwell and Candice over to go find him. So Johnny was basically by himself, and Johnny once again, like, showing why he is indeed Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Takeover, whatever. And which is always cool when you see heel actually win clean without having to resort to. It works sometimes for some heels, but it's nice because it's nice when you actually see them like work clean because it just makes them that much more legit. And we already know how great Johnny Gargano is in the ring anyway. But anyway, so we start the match off. The match, of course, starts off very chain wrestling, mat wrestling style, lots of like different submission holds and all that shit. They keep going at it and at it. Yeah. Eventually, like I said before, this match was fucking fantastic. So eventually, we also had like where Johnny was like going over, trying to get into like the Gargano escape, but then Kushida countered it, and then they were like counting each other's pins, or like where they were like pins into pins and other pins and countering each other. So fucking cool. There's another one where where they were like trying to get the Gargano escape, and they were all kind of like slipping out of each other. It was like really fucking cool, and like they were just going at it. You also had Johnny get inside the get inside the Gargano escape, but Kushida made like counter into like an arm bar, and like Johnny was like in like the cross arm breaker for like a long time, struggling to get to the ropes. He was like far away, and then he's like managed to spin over, and then he was like just clinging almost there near the ropes, but Kushida managed to pull him back. But then Johnny like kind of like maneuvered his body to get his legs on the rope. Such a good spot. And then of course the ref starts counting. 1, 2, 3. Whatever. Kushida eventually lets go as Johnny's getting out of the ring, but he doesn't completely let go of the hoverboard lock. He's still holding it at least onto his hand. So he keeps going out. So he keeps holding it onto him as the match goes on while they're on the outside. And Johnny's obviously trying to get rid of it. So he's like smashes him into the apron of the ring, and then he smashes him into the barricade. Fucking badass spot. They kept going at it. There were so many submission holds and shit that I'm probably not doing. I'm not doing this match justice because I'm not that in. Because I may have been watching wrestling since I was 10 years old, but I don't know everything, especially when it comes to submissions. So they eventually keep going at it, and then we get this beautiful spot. Oh no, this is actually what led into the arm bar to get where Johnny got outside the ring and all that shit. Where Johnny Kushida was on the top rope. He was grabbing Johnny up on top to the top rope, Johnny with, and he like hits and he like grabs him and then throws him over the top rope and lands into like an arm bar into the cross arm breaker. It looks fucking fantastic. You also had another badass spot from the top rope where Kushida was going to get Johnny and go for the hoverboard lock while he was on the second rope. But Johnny kind of like managed to get out and he went for a suplex, but Johnny countered into like a spinning suplex while they were falling down. It was a sight to behold, ladies and gentlemen. It was just, this match was so fucking good. I am not doing this match justice here, man, but if you did not watch Takeover, if you did not watch this match, please do yourself a favor and go watch it. It was such a good match. Emmanuel, I'm looking at you. So, but please, this match was so fucking good. So they eventually keep going at it. Like there was also time for them like punching each other, like clotheslining each other. So many great spots in this match, man. It's just there's too many. But then later on, Johnny manages to he's like on top of the apron at this point, and he's kind of just like trying to get his bearings because Kushida's been targeting around the left arm for pretty much the entire match. And he's kind of like, it's like on the ramp, and so he's kind of like looking around. He sees that Kushida's all the way at the end of the ramp by where the Vengeance Day logo is, where the Vengeance Day logo is. And so Johnny obviously sees this, and he tries to crawl away, but Kushida's like sprinting towards him, and then like kicks his arm, which is just, at this point, I honestly thought the match was over. I thought, damn, Kushida's going to win the title, Johnny's going to lose. I legit thought Kushida was going to win this match at this point. But Johnny manages, once he gets back into the ring, he goes inside for the hoverboard lock. I'm legit thinking, it's over, this match is over. No way Johnny's winning it anymore, he's losing the title. But Johnny manages to get Kushida's head like between the ropes and kind of just like have him like smacked his neck against the top rope, and the crowd's like, "Hey, Johnny, off the ropes!" And then Johnny lands one final beat on the outside, letting hit where Kushida lands right on the ramp. Then he hits another one inside the ring and goes for the 1, 2, 3. Fantastic match. I did not do it justice here, but if y'all watch Takeover, and y'all know that this was the match of the night. Such a fantastic match. God, I love Johnny wrestling, man. I love Johnny Gargano. And Kushida was fantastic as well during this match. This was a fantastic match, without a doubt. This is definitely one of the best matches of the year, no doubt. So, yeah, man. So anyway, Now let's move on to the. I think it was like right here that when they had the Cameron Grimes music video. But let's talk about it right now before we jump right into MSX and versus the Grizzled Young Veterans, which that match was fantastic in its own right as well. So Cameron Grimes last week on NXT, last week, or I guess this week rather, on NXT, the co-home show for Takeover, we saw Cameron Grimes. The man comes out in a Lamborghini. He has a suit on. He has a suit jacket on, and he's like making it rain. This man has money for days. This is why I love NXT. Where Cameron Grimes came out there on NXT later on, and then he says, "Oh yeah, and he's like going on and the reason he has so much money now is because he bought stocks into GameStop. Because you guys know the stock went up, Wall Street bets and all that shit. I started dying when I was watching NXT, and I saw him like, oh my god, we have Wall Street bets on NXT. I love NXT. So that was hilarious. And then this week, sorry, I'm gonna drop something. Or on Takeover rather, we had a music video. I don't remember much of the lyrics. I was just too busy laughing my ass off at the lunacy of this. But one of the lines that says, "You can kiss my grits." I fucking love Cameron Grimes, man. I'm Cameron Grimes to the moon. Great shit, man. Excellent music video. And yeah, but anyway, now we got that out of the way. Let's go talk about the men's Dusty Classic tag team match between the MSX and the Grizzled Young Veterans. And man, this match was fucking awesome. I absolutely adored this match. This is why we love tag team wrestling. This is why we love NXT. And man, this was fantastic. I was actually kind of surprised that the MSK, which you guys know, I think they came from Impact, won this match because they're still pretty new. They've only been here for like, a month they've been on NXT. And I was really surprised that they were the one to win because I actually thought because the Grizzled Young Veterans are loved and they were in the Dusty Classic last year as well, they were also in the final to that one. I thought the Grizzled Young Veterans were going to win this match. But no, they ended up going to NXT, which kind of makes sense because MSK are the new guys, and when you look at the way they wrestle their version of tag team wrestling, it is very much why we love a lot of tag team wrestling in NXT and AEW to a certain extent. So it also kind of makes sense why they went with them as well. So yeah, but I was still pretty surprised when MSK won because, like I said, I thought the Grizzled Young Veterans were going to win this match. And this match, okay, first off, I'm gonna say this match made me both a fan of MSK as well as the Grizzled Young Veterans, more specifically Zach Gibson. He was the one with the mic because right after MSK made their entrance and they did their whole thing, the Grizzled Young Veterans come to the man's on the mic and he just buries MSK. He's like, allow me to let the veterans give some like I don't know tips to the new guys. He's like, first get that stupid smile off your face. This is my best like British impression or whatever his accent is. Get that stupid smile off your face. You will not enjoy a single second of this fight. Take your sob story, your flips and your spins and your tough green pajamas and shove them up your ass. And because that trophy belongs to the Grizzled Young Veterans, soon to be recognized as the winners. And my God, I absolutely loved it. Especially when he's like, soon. I love that part, man. Like, I don't know why he like does that, but it sounded cool. And so they made their entrance out. So then these two just start going. Of course, MSK with their high flying, crazy, bombastic offense. They were like going mostly on the offense to start off this match. But as the match goes on, of course, the Grizzled Young Veterans start to take over and they cut the ring in half, and they kept. I believe Nash Carter is the one. They kept him just cut him off. He was like, Wes Lee is kind of like just pacing around the ring. He's trying to hype his boy up and help him out, but he's like just getting beat down by the Grizzled Young Veterans as they keep going on and on and on. So eventually, as they keep going on, they keep wailing on him. They eventually actually were where he starts to crawl over to the other side. I believe it was Zach Gibson actually pulls down Wes Lee before Carter can make the tag. So eventually he gets back in. He of course goes into the ring. He's going after Zach Gibson. Of course, the ref is like trying to stop him. But while that's going on, the grizzled young veterans showing off why there's veterans in their name. Uses it to do a double team attack, to use a double team move on him while the ref's back is turned. But eventually, of course, Wesley after Carter started calling up, Zach Gibson actually kind of like almost like pushed him towards his corner, almost like I think it was trying to side, but also kind of like basically just pushed him there. And of course, they make the tag. Wesley just starts going crazy. He did two absolutely bonkers dives. One from the top rope onto and another one. He pulled off some ricochet type shit. This reminded me actually of that one spot from Johnny Gargano and Ricochet from Tiger Feast, which you guys know how much I adored that match. Where my man is like on one corner of the ring from one of the turn, and he like starts like rushing over and jumps over that other side ring, over that other corner of the ring, or jumping over the turnbuckle completely, and like they're basically doing like a swanton bomb off that, jumping off that. It was quite the crazy spot. So as the match keeps going on, we get crazier spots. Like we got a double super kick up from MSK rather. I don't know. I said MSX, MSK. That looked really cool. You have the grizzled young veterans hitting a Doomsday device, but this wasn't a typical Doomsday device. Oh no. This is a Doomsday device with attitude. Shout out to Trash Taste, where Zach Gibson had him up, I believe it was Wesley, had him up into the electric chair position, and then I'm slipping on the other dude's name, James Drake, legit does a suicide dive and just clotheslines him and sending Wesley down to the ground and just completely flatten him. That looked really fucking cool. That was probably one of the best spots of the night, outside of course, the Swanton Bomb thing, whatever that was. That was really cool. You did like Wesley also did like this turning hurricane, this turning poison rod. Looked pretty cool, and eventually MSK does their finisher and they managed to win the match. Which, like I said before, I was shocked that MSK won because, like I said, I thought the grizzled young veterans were going to win this because they were in the Dustin Classic finals last year, and because they were more experienced and all that shit. And since these guys are still relatively young, I didn't think they would get the rub, show like, hey, these are legit. This is a legit team. Which I was turned to a fan. Like before this with MSK, I enjoyed them, but I wouldn't say I was high on them like I was, like say, with the Undisputed Era or the War Raiders or other tag teams that we had at NXT before, got completely gutted. After watching this, not only was I sold on the grizzled young veterans, but I was also very much sold on MSK, and they are definitely a team I'm going to be that I can definitely see become one that could end up being like the pillars to rebuild the tag team division, because it hasn't been all that great as of lately after they got rid of the War Raiders. The UE hasn't been as prominent of a role as they used to be, and they've lost other tag teams here and there. So if they build this around MSK, the Grizzled Young Veterans, I can see NXT bouncing back with its tag team division as well, because this match was fantastic. This match basically showed everyone that, hey, MSK, they are legit, which they were, because they actually wrestled their butts off, man. And this definitely made me a fan of MSK, and definitely they are legit. So major props to MSK. They pulled off a great match. Major props to the Grizzly Young Veterans as well. They both just absolutely killed it. So basically up to this point, we have had 3 banger matches back to back to back. Also, one thing I almost forgot, because this is going to tie in. I almost forgot about the spot, but I'm going to mention it right now because this is going to tie into when we get to Io Shirai, Toni Storm, and I'm slipping on the other chick's name. I don't know why I am, but after I think Wesley did like a suicide dive or something. Either way, he got himself pretty hyped, and the dude just starts like punching at the announce table. Remember this? Oh, speaking of hyping up, there was this fun part where Wesley decides he wants, I'm gonna go Super Saiyan, and my man is like screaming over at Zach Gibson. Zach Gibson is like kind of back away, like, fam, calm down. And he's like telling the guy, get up, get your hands up. He's like slapping himself. My man is like legit hyping himself up, and he like brings him down the ground and just starts pummeling him. That was also badass, man. That was also another fantastic spot. Like I said before, this match was absolutely fantastic, man. And so, anyway, with all that being said, let's go over to the women's match. Now for Io Shirai, Toni Storm, and Mercedes Martinez, if I remember this. Not gonna lie, this was probably the weakest match on the card. The crowd wasn't really all that into it, but then when you had 3 bangers like that, including Johnny Gargano, it just makes sense. It's only a matter of time before the crowd gets exhausted for at least one match, and unfortunately, it ended up having to be for the women's title match. Now, now, even though this was the weakest match on the card, it was still a great match in its own right. No, I don't know if I would call it fantastic, but it was definitely a great match. So of course, all the women made their entrances. But actually, like while they were gonna make the introduction, like this match is for the women. This is a triple threat for the women's for the women's championship time. The usual spiel. Mercedes comes in and starts attacking Io, and they basically just go on from there. So it's like first it starts out with Tony and Mercedes are going at it one-on-one. Then Io gets back in there and she gets in the fray. Then they throw Mercedes out there. Then when she tries to get back in there, Io kicks her out again, and it's just Tony and Io going at it for a while. Then all the women basically get out to the outside, and Io goes for a moonsault onto Mercedes, but she ends up dodging it, and then Mercedes just grabs Io, just throws her over the barricade, where she's gone for a bit. And so Mercedes and Tony go at it for a while. Mercedes even put Tony up into a fireman's carry and slammed her into the barricade. I've been really digging these barricade spots. But then, then we get probably the funniest part of the match, a botch, you could say. So Tony goes over to the announce table to, I guess, do a Storm Zero or something to Mercedes on the announce table. So she takes the top off and starts to clear it out. But as she starts clearing it off, the table collapses on itself. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the table itself exposed the business. I can only imagine Triple H backstage was like, "Oh, sweet Jesus!" Everyone on Gorilla was probably like, "Oh no!" And Tony looked like she wanted to just throw her hands up, but she didn't. She just kind of looks at it before she just goes back. And Wade mentioned on commentary that, yeah, I felt the table started to wobble after MSK was finished. It's because, like I said, the dude was punching at her earlier in the match. And it looks like that ended up making it break on its own. Thought that was pretty funny. So Tony and Mercedes go at, but eventually Io. I'm curious if this was all an audible by Io, or maybe Io was going to do what she did that crossbody she did on Mercedes and Tony. If she was going to do that originally on the announce table, if it didn't break, I'm curious if that would have been the case. But anyway, so Io gets on top of this steel beam, on top of this steel beam that's by the commentary desk. She climbs up there, does a crossbody of both the women, takes Io out for most of the match, for a decent chunk of the rest of the match. So then Tony and Mercedes, get back into the ring and they start fighting at each other. There was a German, Mercedes did a German suplex on to Tony off the top rope, which looked really cool. So then she pulls herself up, but then there's Io around the top rope that does a double stomp right on top of her. And so then they start going at it again. Tony goes for the Storm Zero. She ends up getting a quick 2 count. Mercedes hits a Fisherman Buster 2 count as well. But then Tony also hits a diving headbutt, which I'm very curious what the reaction backstage was when she did that move, because we all know Chris Benoit and all that shit. So I'm very curious to see what the reaction backstage would have been when she hit that move. But anyway, she goes back onto the top. I think she did another Storm Zero. By the way, she goes for the pin. 1, 2, then Io comes out of nowhere and does a moonsault onto Tony, breaking up the pin. She rolls out onto the other side of the ring, and Io pins Mercedes Martinez and gets the victory, retaining the title. Great match. Although probably could have been better if the crowd was a little bit more invested, and also probably if the table didn't break on its own. But hey, shit, it's pro wrestling. Shit happens. But anyway, man, let us now move on to the main event between Pete Dunne and Finn Balor. This match was awesome. Now, if you were to ask me between the two matches he had with Kyle O'Reilly and this match, which one was my favorite out of the three, I probably would say this one. I really enjoyed this match with Pete Dunne and Finn Balor. This was kind of in the same style as the other two, were slow. It's more slower pace. They're mostly focusing on one body part and just kind of attacking that throughout the whole match, trying to wear down their opponents. That's basically what that was. That whole thing that's been going on with the two Kyle O'Reilly matches continued on to this match, where Finn was targeting Pete Dunne's knee while Pete Dunne was going after his shoulder, armish, left armish area, as well as, of course, attacking the jaw because the commentary didn't want to shut up about him having to surgically repair a jaw. So they're going at it, hard hitting, all this shit. You get Pete Dunne's joint manipulation, which always makes me cringe. You had him actually do I don't know what this submission was. He grabbed I think he went for I think it was like an abdominal stretch or something, but then he like maneuvered it while he was on the ground and like pushed his like left shoulder like all the way back, stretching that motherfucker out. That was like the surgery repair one that he dislocated the match with Seth Rollins to SummerSlam 2016. So he was attacking that. I don't know what the submission was, but man, did it look brutal. So then they're still going at it. You got the Finn trying to go for his 1916 coup de grace, but Pete Dunne managed to counter it. Eventually, after a while, Pete Dunne is just like wailing on Finn Balor, attacking his arm, his jaw, and Finn is mostly on the defensive. But eventually, he starts attacking one of Pete Dunne's knees, and then eventually, when it starts to turn the tide of the match, and Finn Balor is more on the offensive. So they keep going at it. Finn like locks in like a heel hook, I think he did, and that kind of kept him out, kept Pete in there for a while. But eventually, after all said and done, Finn managed to counter Pete Dunne's finisher. I forget what it was called. Turned to like tack the knee. He was on the ground. Went for the coup de grace. Then went for the 1960, and I think that's how he went. But actually before that, I almost forgot about the spot. Pete was kind of like, there's also this one spot where like Pete was like, where he was like doing the joint manipulation. I think he was also doing a submission as well at the time. But Finn managed to break out of it. But Pete would not let go of his hand. He was still holding his hand. And as Finn is trying to like pull his hand out there. Pete isn't even relenting. And then eventually just like does his whole dislocates the finger and make a wish. Which unfortunately, I don't think, I'm surprised nobody on camera just said, make a wish! I always liked it when Nigel did that, but hey, whatever. So eventually, Finn also rips out Pete's mouth guard, and it just gives him like a double, like I think it was like a double, running like a double kick to like the face or whatever. It might have been double D's, I forget. But either way, it was a brutal ass spot. Hits the coup de grace, 1916, 1, 2, 3. Wins the match. And I loved at the end of the match, you could see Finn, like, you know how Finn does the whole finger gun thing, at the end of the match? He couldn't do that. He was mostly just keeping his fingers out there with like them all kind of being somewhat built to like sell the fact that his fingers are all broken and swollen and everything for being like bent backwards and like dislocated and all that shit. Nice little thing, nice little touch there at the end of the match. But of course, Danny Burch and was it Marcel Bartel was the other one? Whatever. You guys know Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, my bad. So they eventually come out there. They start attacking Finn. Pete gets in on the action, but he doesn't really do much because of his injured knee. And I was actually wondering, like, man, where's the UE? Are they not going to come out here and, save Finn Balor? But eventually the UE do manage to come in there and save the match. Or save Finn Balor, rather. So they manage to get out there. They all start. Kyle O'Reilly helps Finn up. Great moment. And at this point, I'm thinking, like, is Finn going to lead the UE now and maybe rename it to, like, the Balor Club and we have the Bullet Club in NXT? I don't know. So they kind of, like, look at each other. You got the end card. You got the, trademark logo. Seems like this is the end of the show. But then Adam Cole hits Finn Balor with a super kick and, like, send him down the ground. Kyle O'Reilly's kind of confused. I'm like, what, dude? What are you doing? And then Adam Cole hits a super kick on Kyle O'Reilly, turning on the Undisputed Era. And now we have a takeover, ladies and gentlemen. You know it's a good takeover when you have like a little post-credits trademark thing where someone turns heel or something. That's always fantastic. And now I'm sure all of us are more interested to watch NXT this week or next week to see what's going on with Adam Cole. Is this going to be the end of his? Is this going to finally mean the end for Adam Cole? Is this going to be like this last match and like the WrestleMania takeover? Is that where it's going to end it with NXT finally go over to the main roster? I don't know. Will Finn now run the Undisputed Era? Will we get like some sort of fail forward match for the NXT title with Karrion Kross, Finn Balor, Adam Cole, and Kyle O'Reilly at the WrestleMania takeover? I don't know, or at the WrestleMania card itself, because apparently there's rumors that the NXT Championship might be actually appear on one of the nights of WrestleMania, which I'm definitely for. Or what? I don't know. I'm just speculating. Either way, I'm excited for NXT this week, and I'm very curious to see where all this is going to go with Adam Cole. Where's Roderick Strong going to play? Is he going to join, stay with Adam, or is he going to side with Kyle O'Reilly? Where's Bobby Fish in all of this? The man's kind of vanished for the last couple of weeks. And yeah, man, overall, TakeOver was a fantastic show, and this is definitely the best TakeOver we got in the pandemic era. And of course, like always, my final verdict for NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day is a 10 out of fucking 10. So yeah, man, tell me down below you guys thought Takeover Vengeance Day. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Is this your favorite Takeover? Do you think this is like the start of a new age of NXT? They're finally getting back on track to what made them special in the first place a couple years ago or even last year? Tell me all that down below in the comments. And anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.